Number 1. The 1969 Ford Torino GT 428 Cobra Jet Survivor. In my opinion, this 1969 Ford Torino GT is one of the most significant muscle car finds in this entire group, mainly because it represents something that has become extremely rare in today's market: a true survivor equipped with Ford's legendary 428 Cobra jet engine. While many classic muscle cars have been restored, modified, or partially rebuilt over the years, this example appears to have been preserved in long-term storage rather than heavily altered. The biggest highlight is, of course, the 428 Cobra Jet V8. This engine is widely regarded as one of Ford's most iconic high-performance power plants from the late 1960s, known for its enormous torque output and its reputation on both the street and drag strip. In a Torino GT body, it creates a combination that is highly sought after by collectors who understand the significance of Ford's muscle car era. What makes this particular car especially interesting is its survivor status. According to the seller, the vehicle has been garage kept since 1983, which suggests decades of careful storage rather than constant use or multiple restorations. With approximately 53,000 miles showing, it appears to have been driven sparingly and then preserved, which often helps maintain originality and factory character that is difficult or impossible to replicate with a full restoration. The recent maintenance work includes a new fuel tank, fuel pump, carburetor, and a cleaned fuel system. These updates indicate that while the car remains largely original in nature, it has been made roadworthy again. The fact that it starts, runs, and drives adds another layer of appeal, because many survivor cars are often non-running and require significant mechanical recommissioning. From a collector's perspective, survivor cars like this often sit in a very desirable category. Unlike fully restored vehicles, they retain original finishes, wear patterns, and authenticity that tell the story of how the car actually lived. That originality is something many enthusiasts value more highly than perfection. Personally, I believe the strongest aspect of this Torino GT is its combination of rarity, authenticity, and preservation. A real 428 Cobra Jet Torino is already difficult to find, but one that has been stored for decades and remains largely untouched is even more uncommon. It offers a unique opportunity to either preserve it as a time capsule or carefully restore it while maintaining its original identity. At an asking price of $59,000, this 1969 Ford Torino GT Cobra Jet Survivor sits firmly in the collector-grade category. For someone who values originality, historical significance, and authentic Ford muscle car heritage, this could be one of the most compelling and historically important vehicles in the entire list. Number 2. 1972 Chevrolet Monte Carlo two-door. This 1972 Chevrolet Monte Carlo is not just a classic cruiser, but a serious high-performance restomod that has been built with drag-inspired components while still keeping the comfort and style of a full-size GM coupe. Unlike stock examples, this one has clearly been transformed into a street machine designed for strong acceleration and weekend driving enjoyment. Located in Clearwater, Florida, this Monte Carlo is listed by a dealership for $26,500. It shows approximately 500 miles driven since completion, and the seller describes it as a freshly built vehicle with less than 1,000 miles on the entire drivetrain. It is also noted as a rust-free car with a clean title and 2 previous owners, which adds some confidence regarding its overall foundation. The most impressive part of this build is under the hood. Power comes from a heavily built 496 cubic inch big block V8, producing an estimated 600 horsepower. In my opinion, this level of performance completely changes the character of the Monte Carlo, turning it from a personal luxury coupe into a true muscle-bound street machine. The engine setup includes a large hydraulic roller cam, dual Edelbrock carburetors on a dual quad intake, MSD ignition components, and a high-torque mini-starter. These are all performance-oriented upgrades designed to maximize horsepower, throttle response, and reliability under aggressive driving conditions. Backing the engine is a Muncie 4-speed manual transmission paired with a new performance clutch and Hurst shifter. This combination is highly desirable among muscle car enthusiasts because it delivers a raw, mechanical driving experience that keeps the driver fully engaged. In my opinion, a big block like this paired with a manual transmission is exactly what defines classic American performance at its peak. Power is sent to the ground through a 12-bolt positraction rear end equipped with Richmond 4.11 gears. This gearing setup is designed for quick acceleration and strong off-the-line performance, making the car feel much faster in real-world driving situations. Drag shocks and springs further support the performance-oriented nature of the build. From a chassis and appearance standpoint, The car has also been upgraded. It rides on weld wheels and features a hardwood 4-inch cowl hood, giving it a more aggressive, race-inspired look. The seller notes that the body is very straight and has been stripped and sealed in epoxy primer, meaning it is currently in a solid stage for final paint if the next owner chooses to finish it cosmetically. Inside, the Monte Carlo has received refreshed seats, a redone headliner, and a center console. While not fully customized, the interior appears to be in a usable and presentable condition that matches the rest of the car's performance-focused build. The overall impression is that of a driver's car rather than a show-only restoration. What I personally find interesting about this Monte Carlo is the balance between raw performance and street usability. With 600 horsepower on tap, a solid drivetrain, and drag-oriented components, it clearly has serious power. At the same time, it retains the size and comfort of a classic GM coupe, which means it can still be enjoyed on regular roads without feeling overly harsh or stripped down. Overall, this 1972 Chevrolet Monte Carlo stands out as a heavily built big-block restomod that prioritizes performance above all else. With its 496 cubic-inch 600 horsepower engine, Muncie 4-speed manual transmission, 12-bolt Posey rear end with 4.11 gears, and extensive mechanical upgrades, it offers a very aggressive driving experience. In my opinion, this is the kind of Monte Carlo built for someone who wants old-school muscle car attitude with modernized power and reliability, making it a serious street and strip-capable machine. Number 3. This 1966 Plymouth Belvedere 2 is a straightforward, honest classic Mopar that focuses more on originality and usability than flashy restoration work or heavy modifications. Finished in red with a black interior, this Belvedere carries the simple but bold styling that defined mid-60s Plymouth design. It's not a show car build, but instead presents itself as a well-kept Southern survivor with long-term ownership history and a reputation for being mechanically maintained rather than fully restored. Under the hood is the original-style 318 Poly V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. While not a high-performance setup by modern standards, this engine is known for its durability, smooth operation, and ease of maintenance. According to the seller, the car remains largely stock in terms of its drivetrain, which adds to its authenticity and classic driving feel. The vehicle has reportedly been in the seller's possession since 2004, making it a long-term, second-owner car. During that time, it has only accumulated around 5,000 miles, which suggests light use and occasional driving rather than daily commuting. The seller also notes that the car is a solid southern example, which is an important detail since vehicles from this region are typically less affected by severe rust compared to those from colder climates. In terms of maintenance, several important components have already been addressed. The car has received new drum brakes all around, a new master cylinder, a new fuel tank, and a replacement carburetor. These updates indicate that the basic mechanical systems have been kept in working order, making it more of a driver than a project car. Power steering is also equipped, which improves drivability and ease of use. However, the seller does mention a few cosmetic imperfections. There is some UV damage beginning on the rear seat tops, a small blister on the lower passenger door, and a chip in the same area. These flaws are consistent with age and regular use rather than major neglect, but they are worth noting for anyone expecting a fully restored show-quality car. The vehicle was also repainted by the original owner prior to 2004, so the paint is not factory original. In my opinion, this Belvedere 2 is best understood as a classic driver rather than a collector-grade restoration piece. Its strength lies in its long ownership history, solid southern body, and mostly original mechanical setup. It offers a more relaxed entry point into classic Mopar ownership without the high cost of fully restored or high-performance builds. At an asking price of $16,500, this 1966 Plymouth Belvedere 2 appears to be a reasonable option for someone who values authenticity and usability over perfection. For enthusiasts looking for a simple, dependable vintage cruiser with genuine Mopar heritage, this car delivers exactly that kind of experience. Number 4. 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle SS, Real SS Body. The 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle SS is one of the most iconic mid-1960s muscle cars, and this particular example represents a blend of factory SS styling with a later big block upgrade that gives it a stronger performance identity than many small block originals. The Chevelle SS badge alone carries a lot of weight among American muscle car enthusiasts, and this car leans into that reputation while also being honest about its modifications and condition. Finished in marina blue over a black vinyl bucket seat interior, the car has the classic muscle era look that immediately stands out. The SS styling combined with chrome Kragar wheels and BF Goodrich raised white leather tires gives it a traditional street muscle appearance that fits the era perfectly. While the seller notes that the car was originally regal red, the current color choice is one that many enthusiasts associate with Chevrolet performance cars of the mid-1960s. Power comes from a 396 cubic inch big block V8 sourced from a 1967 Chevelle, rated at approximately 325 horsepower. While not original to the 1965 model year, the big block swap is a common and widely accepted upgrade in the Chevelle community, especially when properly documented. In this case, the seller provides casting and suffix details, which adds a level of transparency that is often missing in similar builds. Paired with a TH350 automatic transmission and B&M Pro stick shifter, the drivetrain is clearly set up with a performance-oriented driving experience in mind. Supporting modifications include Edelbrock intake and carburation, an HEI ignition system with performance coil, tubular headers with heat wrap, and chrome valve covers. These upgrades are typical of well-built street Chevelles and contribute to improved throttle response, reliability, and overall drivability. The car also benefits from power steering and power front disc brakes, both of which are important upgrades that make a classic muscle car much more manageable in modern traffic. Inside, the black vinyl interior with bucket seats is described as being in excellent condition, which is a strong positive point given the age of the vehicle. The dash includes SS badging, a column-mounted tachometer, and additional aftermarket gauges for oil pressure, water temperature, and voltage, giving the driver more awareness of engine performance. A hidden modern audio setup is also installed, allowing for improved sound quality without heavily altering the vintage appearance of the cabin. The seller is also upfront about imperfections, noting that some front running lights, the horn, and the clock are not currently functioning. There are also paint blemishes on the roof and no documented receipts for the repaint. In my opinion, this kind of honesty is important because it helps set realistic expectations for a car that is clearly intended to be driven rather than treated as a concours-level restoration. What makes this Chevelle particularly interesting is the way it balances authenticity claims with real-world modifications. While it is described as a real SS body, it is also clearly not a numbers-matching, factory-original big block SS. Instead, it sits in that middle category where classic styling meets upgraded performance, creating a car that prioritizes driving enjoyment over strict originality. Overall, I believe this 1965 Chevrolet Chevelle SS offers a strong combination of classic muscle car presence and usable performance upgrades. The 396 big block engine, improved braking and steering systems, and well-preserved interior make it appealing to enthusiasts who want a vintage Chevelle they can actually enjoy on the road. At an asking price of $44,990, it reflects the market reality of documented SS-bodied cars with big block power, even when they are not fully original factory builds. Number 5. This 1969 Plymouth Road Runner clone. This 1969 Plymouth Satellite that has been converted into a Road Runner-style tribute is a strong example of how classic Mopar platforms can be transformed into serious performance machines while still maintaining street usability. Located in Guntersville, Alabama, and offered at $42,500 or best offer, this build blends aggressive big block power with upgraded driveline components and a clean, presentable exterior finish. Under the hood is the centerpiece of the build, a 520 cubic inch stroker version of the legendary 440 big block engine. This motor features Indy cylinder heads, a roller cam setup, and MSD ignition components, all of which contribute to a high-performance configuration designed for strong power output and reliable operation. The engine setup places this car firmly in the category of modernized muscle, delivering far more performance than what was available from the factory in 1969. Backing the engine is a Tremec 5-speed manual transmission, a major upgrade over the original factory drivetrain options. This modern transmission not only improves acceleration and gear engagement, but also makes the car significantly more enjoyable on the highway, allowing for lower RPM cruising and better overall drivability compared to traditional 4-speed setups. The car is finished in a rare factory Q5 seafoam turquoise metallic color, a one-year Plymouth shade that adds uniqueness and visual appeal to the build. Combined with black interior trim, the exterior color gives the car a distinctive vintage look that stands out from the more commonly seen muscle car color combinations. According to the seller, the paint and interior are in good condition, and the car is described as needing nothing in terms of cosmetic work. Performance is clearly the focus of this build. The large displacement stroker engine paired with modern ignition and induction components suggests a car that is built for strong acceleration and spirited driving. The seller describes it as very fast and fun, which is consistent with the type of modifications present throughout the vehicle. One of the appealing aspects of this car is its balance between classic styling and modern performance upgrades. While it wears Road Runner badging and styling cues, it retains the underlying satellite identity, which is common in tribute builds. For many enthusiasts, this approach provides the look and feel of a high-end muscle car without the extreme cost associated with fully documented original models. In my opinion, this Plymouth represents a well-executed Restomod-style muscle car that prioritizes driving experience over strict originality. The combination of a large displacement stroker engine, Tremec 5-speed transmission, and upgraded ignition system creates a package that is clearly designed for enthusiasts who enjoy power and engagement behind the wheel. At an asking price of $42,500, this Road Runner clone sits in a competitive segment of the classic muscle car market. While it is not a factory-original Road Runner, the performance upgrades and clean presentation help justify its position as a strong driver quality build. Buyers in this range are typically looking for cars they can enjoy immediately rather than projects requiring additional investment. Overall, this 1969 Plymouth Road Runner Tribute appears to be a well-built, high-performance classic that delivers a combination of aggressive power, improved drivability, and standout styling. For someone seeking a fast, fun, and visually striking Mopar with modern upgrades, this example offers a compelling package. Number 6. The 1970 Ford Galaxie 500. This 1970 Ford Galaxie 500 is one of those full-size classic Fords that offers a lot of value for the money, especially for someone who appreciates older restorations that still have solid bones. Unlike many project cars that require a complete rebuild, this Galaxie appears to already have gone through a full restoration in 2016, which immediately puts it in a different category than typical unrestored barn finds. Finished in gray with a matching gray interior, the car carries a very understated, almost factory-correct look that fits the Galaxie's role as a large, comfortable American cruiser. The styling of the 1970 model year reflects the final evolution of Ford's big full-size sedans before the market fully shifted toward smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles in the mid-1970s. Under the hood sits a 351 Windsor V8, one of Ford's most reliable and widely used small-block engines. While it is not the largest engine available in the Galaxie lineup, the 351W is known for its durability, ease of maintenance, and smooth driving characteristics. Paired with an automatic transmission, this setup is clearly designed for relaxed cruising rather than aggressive performance, which aligns perfectly with the Galaxie's identity as a comfortable highway car. One of the most interesting aspects of this vehicle is its history after restoration. According to the seller, the car was fully restored in 2016, driven for a period afterward, and then stored in a garage when it was no longer actively used. That kind of post-restoration storage can sometimes be a mixed situation, as mechanical systems may require light refreshing even if the cosmetic condition remains strong. The seller does note a few issues that need attention. The dashboard requires reassembly after tracking down an electrical short, there is a small pinhole leak in the fuel tank, and there is a deep scratch on the rear quarter panel. While these are not insignificant, they are also not structural problems, and they appear to be the kind of repairs that a new owner could address gradually without a full restoration. Personally, I think the strongest appeal of this Galaxie is its combination of prior restoration work and current affordability. At an asking price of just $9,000, it is rare to find a fully restored full-size classic Ford at this price point, even if it now requires some reconditioning. The fact that it has already been restored once means much of the expensive foundational work has likely been completed. For someone who enjoys classic American cruisers and is willing to handle a few mechanical and cosmetic fixes, this 1970 Ford Galaxie 500 could be a very interesting opportunity. It offers the comfort and presence of a true full-size Ford, a dependable 351 Windsor V8, and a price that makes it accessible compared to many other restored classics on the market today. Number 7. 1962 Ford Falcon. This 1962 Ford Falcon is a perfect example of a simple, honest classic that was never meant to be a showpiece, but instead a car that still has real everyday usability even after more than 60 years on the road. Unlike heavily restored muscle cars or high-dollar collectibles, this Falcon seems to represent a more personal kind of classic ownership experience. Located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, this Falcon is listed for $6,000 and is being sold on behalf of the owner's father. The seller explains that the car is used as a daily driver and is not considered a show car, but it is still in very good condition for its age. In my opinion, that alone makes it interesting, because it suggests the vehicle has been maintained for function rather than appearance alone. The car is finished in an off-white exterior with a turquoise interior, a color combination that feels very period-correct for the early 1960s. It gives the Falcon a light, nostalgic look that fits perfectly with its role as a simple compact car from that era. Inside, the turquoise cabin adds a bit of character and reinforces the vintage personality of the vehicle. According to the seller, the vehicle is equipped with an inline-six engine that has been replaced at some point in its life. Because of this engine swap, the exact mileage is not known, and the odometer has likely rolled over beyond 100,000 miles. However, the car is still actively driven, which in my opinion says more about its reliability than a number on the dash ever could. The automatic transmission makes the Falcon easy to operate in modern traffic conditions, especially for a classic car from the early 1960s. While it is not a performance-oriented setup, it supports the car's identity as a relaxed, dependable driver rather than a high-performance machine. One of the most appealing aspects of this Falcon is its story. It belongs to an older owner who reportedly keeps it because it reminds him of his childhood. That kind of emotional connection is something you cannot really measure in terms of market value. In my opinion, it adds a layer of authenticity that many restored or auction-focused classics simply do not have. The seller is also clear that there are no trades being considered and that serious offers only will be entertained. This suggests a straightforward sale without the complexity of negotiation involving other vehicles or exchanges. From a collector's perspective, the 1962 Ford Falcon is not typically viewed as a high-value muscle car, but it plays an important role in Ford's history as a compact, practical vehicle that helped establish the foundation for later performance models like the Mustang. That historical connection gives it more significance than its simple appearance might suggest. Personally, I think the strongest quality of this Falcon is its usability. It is not sitting as a garage queen or unfinished project. Instead, it is a functioning classic being enjoyed regularly, which is becoming increasingly rare as many older vehicles are retired or restored beyond daily driving condition. Overall, this 1962 Ford Falcon appears to be a well-preserved, mechanically functional classic that prioritizes simplicity, nostalgia, and real-world driving over show quality or performance upgrades. With its inline-six engine, automatic transmission, vintage color combination, and daily driver status, it offers a genuine glimpse into early 1960s American motoring. In my opinion, this is the kind of classic that appeals not to collectors chasing perfection, but to enthusiasts who value history, character, and the joy of simply keeping an old car on the road. Number 8. This 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass S is presented as a high-quality, well-preserved classic that leans heavily toward collector-grade condition rather than a typical driver build. Finished in red with a brown interior, the car carries the classic early 1970s GM styling that made the Cutlass one of Oldsmobile's most successful nameplates. The proportions are clean and muscular without being overly aggressive, which is part of why the Cutlass S models continue to attract strong interest among collectors today. According to the seller, this example is in mint condition, which immediately places it in a higher tier of classic car listings. The vehicle shows approximately 26,942 miles, a relatively low figure for a car of this era, especially if it is supported by documentation. Low-mileage Cutlasses that have been preserved or carefully restored tend to command strong attention in today's market. One of the most important details in this listing is the inclusion of the original 1972 455 cubic inch engine block. While the car is not currently described in full mechanical detail, the presence of a factory-correct big block component adds significant value for enthusiasts who prioritize originality or want the option to return the car to its original configuration. The seller also notes that the car was recently serviced in November, with a list of completed work included in the photos. This suggests that the vehicle is not just sitting as a static showpiece, but has been maintained and prepared for continued use. Regular servicing is especially important for older classics, even those in excellent condition. With a manual transmission, this Cutlass S stands out from many of its contemporaries, which were often equipped with automatics. A factory or period-correct manual setup adds a more engaging driving experience and increases desirability among performance-oriented collectors. In my opinion, the strongest appeal of this Cutlass S is its combination of condition, originality potential, and presentation. While many surviving Cutlasses have been modified or heavily used, this example appears to have been preserved or restored to a very high standard. The claim of mint condition, paired with low mileage and the inclusion of the original 455 block, places it in a more collectible category than typical driver-quality cars. At an asking price of $58,900, this 1972 Oldsmobile Cutlass S is clearly positioned at the premium end of the market. That price point will likely depend heavily on verification of condition, originality, and the quality of the service work performed. However, for serious Oldsmobile enthusiasts, a well-preserved Cutlass S with a manual transmission and big block heritage can justify strong interest. Overall, this appears to be a high-end classic built for collectors rather than casual weekend buyers. For someone specifically seeking a well-kept early 1970s Oldsmobile with strong originality potential, this Cutlass S stands out as a serious, investment-level option. Number 9. 1971 Ford GT Coupe 2D. The 1971 Ford GT Coupe sits in that interesting space of early 1970s Ford performance styling, where big cars, big engines, and straightforward engineering define the driving experience. While not as widely discussed as Mustangs or Torinos, these full-size Ford performance coupes equipped with big block power remain appealing to enthusiasts who want something simple, powerful, and unmistakably American. This particular example is finished in black exterior paint with a matching black interior, giving it a clean and aggressive appearance. The all-black theme suits the character of a big block cruiser like this, emphasizing its long body lines and traditional coupe proportions. With a reported two-owner history, it also suggests a relatively straightforward ownership record for a car of this age. Under the hood sits a 460 cubic inch big block V8, one of Ford's most torque-rich engines from the era. In my opinion, the 460 is all about effortless power rather than high-revving performance. It delivers strong low-end torque, making the car feel relaxed yet forceful in everyday driving situations. Paired with a C6 automatic transmission, the drivetrain combination is known for durability and smooth operation, especially in heavier vehicles. The seller notes that the car runs and drives, which is an important detail for a big block classic in this price range. Many vehicles of this era and configuration often require mechanical sorting before they can be enjoyed on the road, so a running and driving condition adds immediate value for a potential buyer. Another notable feature is the addition of disc brakes, which is a significant upgrade over the original drum brake setups found on many early 1970s cars. In my view, this is one of the most important improvements for safety and drivability, especially when paired with a large displacement engine like the 460. The overall presentation appears to focus more on driving enjoyment than restoration accuracy or show quality detail. There is no mention of a full restoration or extensive cosmetic work, which suggests this is more of a functional classic rather than a concours-level build. At the same time, that can be appealing for buyers who want something they can drive regularly without worrying about preserving every detail. What I personally find most interesting about this car is its simplicity. There are no complex modifications, no modern swaps, and no over-the-top build claims. Instead, it offers a straightforward formula: big engine, automatic transmission, rear-wheel drive, and disc brakes. For many enthusiasts, that is exactly what makes a classic Ford enjoyable. Overall, I believe this 1971 Ford GT Coupe with a 460 V8 and C6 automatic represents a solid entry into big block ownership. It may not carry the prestige of a Mustang or Shelby, but it offers strong displacement, simple mechanics, and usable drivability at an asking price of $22,000. For someone looking for a classic Ford cruiser with real torque and a straightforward setup, this Atlanta-based coupe could be a practical and enjoyable option. Number 10. This 1969 Plymouth Road Runner. This 1969 Plymouth Road Runner is a classic Mopar muscle car that stays close to its original identity while receiving a meaningful engine upgrade to improve performance and drivability. Located in Port St Lucie, Florida, and offered at $48,500, this example presents itself as a straightforward, no-frills muscle car built for driving rather than over-restoration. Originally equipped with a 383 cubic inch V8, the car has since been upgraded to a 440 cubic inch big block engine paired with an automatic transmission on the column. This change significantly increases the car's torque output and overall performance, giving it the strong low-end power that the Road Runner name has always been associated with. The 440 is one of Chrysler's most iconic big block engines, known for its durability and strong street performance, making it a natural fit for a classic Mopar platform. The car is finished in green with a matching green interior, a color combination that gives it a very period-correct late 1960s muscle car appearance. While not the most common or flashy color choice, it reinforces the original factory character of the vehicle and keeps the overall presentation simple and authentic. According to the listing, The car remains in an automatic column-shift configuration, which adds to its relaxed, cruiser-style personality compared to more aggressively modified manual transmission builds. This setup makes it more accessible for everyday driving while still retaining the classic big-block muscle car feel. The seller notes that the vehicle is offered with a choice of wheels, suggesting some flexibility in how the car can be presented or customized by the next owner. While details on restoration work or cosmetic condition are limited, the focus of this listing appears to be on its drivability and mechanical configuration rather than concours-level presentation. In my opinion, this Roadrunner sits in the category of a driver-focused classic rather than a fully restored collector-grade example. The engine upgrade to a 440 adds value for enthusiasts who prioritize performance, but the lack of detailed restoration information suggests this is a car intended to be enjoyed on the road rather than stored for investment purposes. At an asking price of $48,500, this Plymouth is positioned in a market where buyers often expect either strong originality or well-documented restoration work. In this case, the appeal comes primarily from its iconic model status, big block upgrade, and overall simplicity as a classic Mopar muscle car that can still be driven and enjoyed. Overall, this 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner offers a traditional muscle car experience with a stronger engine upgrade, straightforward configuration, and classic styling. For buyers looking for a recognizable Mopar with big block power and a driver-oriented setup, this example delivers that experience in a clean and uncomplicated package. Number 11. The 1974 Chrysler Imperial. This 1974 Chrysler Imperial represents one of the last true examples of full-size American luxury done in a very traditional way. Before downsizing and fuel economy concerns reshaped the industry, cars like the Imperial were built to prioritize comfort, road presence, and effortless cruising above everything else. This example appears to reflect that philosophy very well. Finished in an off-white exterior with a brown interior, the car has a classic luxury color combination that fits the Imperial's character perfectly. Even parked, these cars tend to project a sense of size and authority, with long body lines, heavy chrome accents, and a design language that clearly separates them from more common full-size sedans of the era. One of the most appealing aspects of this particular Imperial is the reported low mileage of around 22,800 miles and its two-owner history. While mileage claims on older vehicles always deserve careful verification, a combination of limited ownership and relatively low use can often indicate a car that has been preserved rather than heavily worn through decades of daily driving. The Imperial nameplate has always represented the top tier of Chrysler's lineup, and by the mid-1970s, it was positioned as a true luxury flagship. These cars were known for their smooth ride quality, substantial weight, and strong emphasis on passenger comfort. Features commonly associated with Imperial models include power accessories, thick carpeting, large bench seating, and a very isolated driving experience that feels more like traveling in a personal lounge than operating a conventional vehicle. While the seller's description is minimal, the overall presentation suggests a vehicle that has been maintained in clean condition with no reported significant damage or issues. That alone is important for a car of this size and age, since many surviving examples suffer from rust, neglected mechanical systems, or interior deterioration. Personally, I see this Imperial as more of a relaxed luxury cruiser than anything performance-oriented. It is not about speed or handling, but about the experience of driving a large, comfortable American flagship from an era when size and comfort defined luxury. For enthusiasts who appreciate that style of motoring, this kind of car offers something modern vehicles simply do not replicate. At an asking price of $15,500, this 1974 Chrysler Imperial appears to be a relatively affordable entry into classic full-size luxury ownership. With its low mileage claim, two-owner history, and clean title, it could be an appealing option for someone looking for a comfortable vintage cruiser with strong presence and classic American luxury appeal. Number 12. 1973 Dodge Charger two-door. This 1973 Dodge Charger is a solid example of the later generation Charger era, when Dodge shifted away from the raw, lightweight muscle car formula of the late 1960s and moved toward a more comfort-oriented, personal luxury performance coupe. While these models don't always get as much attention as the earlier Chargers, they still carry strong Mopar identity and remain desirable among enthusiasts who appreciate classic American V8 cruisers. Located in Mt. Arab, Ohio, this Charger is listed for $16,000 and is finished in a gold exterior with a black interior. That combination gives it a classic 1970s appearance that fits the design language of the era. The car is described as a two-owner vehicle with approximately 96,000 miles, which suggests it has had long-term use but also some level of care and preservation over time. According to the seller, the vehicle is powered by a 318 cubic inch V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. In my opinion, the 318 is one of Chrysler's most dependable small block engines. While it is not the highest performance option available for the Charger, it is known for reliability, smooth operation, and decent cruising power. For many owners, especially those who prefer relaxed driving over aggressive performance, the 318 is more than sufficient. The seller also notes that the car is approximately 97% original. That detail is important because it indicates the vehicle has not been heavily modified or restyled, which can be appealing to buyers looking for a more authentic representation of the era. Originality often adds value in the classic car world, especially when the vehicle is still in running condition. Another interesting aspect is the seller's openness to trades involving Ford, Chevrolet, or Dodge trucks, including 4x4 models. In my opinion, that suggests the owner is flexible and more interested in exchanging value rather than strictly maximizing price, which can sometimes create opportunities for buyers looking to negotiate. While the listing is relatively brief, the overall impression is that this Charger is a straightforward, mostly original driver quality classic rather than a fully restored show car or high-performance build. It appears to be a vehicle meant for cruising, local events, and casual enjoyment rather than competition or collection-level investment. Personally, I think the strongest appeal of this car is its simplicity. It retains its factory-style setup, features a proven V8 engine, and offers the classic Charger look in a more affordable and accessible package compared to higher-end performance models. Overall, this 1973 Dodge Charger presents itself as a largely original two-owner classic with a 318 V8, automatic transmission, and a clean, period-correct appearance. While it may not deliver the performance of earlier big-block Chargers, it still offers the charm, comfort, and presence that made the Charger nameplate famous. In my opinion, this is the kind of classic that suits someone looking for an entry into Mopar ownership with a balance of usability, originality, and nostalgic appeal. Number 13, this 1968 Ford Mustang Coupe is a well-sorted classic that leans more toward a reliable driver build than a trailer queen show car, and that's exactly what makes it appealing. Finished in gold with a black interior, this Mustang keeps the clean, recognizable lines of the late 60s coupe body style. It doesn't rely on flashy restoration tricks or overdone modifications. Instead, it focuses on being a solid, mechanically refreshed classic that can actually be driven regularly. Under the hood is a 302 cubic inch V8 bored .030 over to a 306, paired with AT 5.5-speed manual transmission. That transmission swap alone changes the personality of the car significantly, giving it more modern drivability compared to the original factory setup. Highway cruising becomes more comfortable, and around-town driving feels more responsive and engaging. It's the kind of upgrade that turns a vintage Mustang into something you can realistically use in everyday situations. The seller has clearly put a lot of recent work into keeping the car mechanically strong. Over the past year and a half, it has received a front disc brake conversion with a dual-bowl master cylinder, along with fresh rear brake components including wheel cylinders, shoes, and hardware. That alone brings a major safety and drivability improvement compared to the original drum brake setup. The suspension and steering systems have also been addressed with new front coil springs, inner and outer tie rod ends, and an idler arm. These are the kinds of maintenance items that directly affect how the car feels on the road, and replacing them suggests the car is being kept in honest, usable condition rather than simply stored. Cooling and engine reliability have also been improved with parts like a new double-roller timing chain set, resealed timing cover, new front crank seal, flow cooler water pump, thermostat housing, radiator hoses, harmonic balancer, fuel pump, and fuel filter. Taken together, these updates show a focus on making the car dependable for regular driving rather than occasional weekend starts. The seller mentions that the car is not a perfect show build, but a strong driver, and that description seems accurate based on the level of mechanical attention it has received. It is currently fitted with black steel wheels and tires, although a set of Cragar wheels is also included, giving the next owner some flexibility in appearance. One important note is that the mileage is listed as unknown, which is common for vehicles of this age, especially those that have seen long-term use and modifications. However, the fact that the seller drives it regularly suggests it is not a neglected or stagnant project. In my opinion, the strongest quality of this Mustang is its honesty. It isn't trying to be a rare collector-grade restoration or a fully custom restomod. Instead, It sits in that sweet spot where the mechanical systems have been modernized just enough to make it enjoyable, while still keeping the original Mustang character intact. At an asking price of $23,500, this 1968 Ford Mustang Coupe appears to be a solid value for someone looking for a classic V8 manual car that can actually be driven and enjoyed without immediately needing major mechanical investment. For enthusiasts who prefer a dependable driver over a showroom-perfect build, this Mustang checks a lot of the right boxes. Number 14. 1971 Ford Mustang GT Hatchback 2D. The 1971 Ford Mustang GT represents the transition period of the Mustang lineup, when the model grew in size and took on a more aggressive, long-hood fastback profile. While opinions are often divided on the early 1970s Mustang redesign, these cars have developed a strong following among enthusiasts who appreciate their unique proportions, comfortable cruising ability, and classic Ford V8 character. This particular example is finished in blue exterior paint with a matching blue interior, giving it a clean, unified appearance that fits the era well. The hatchback fastback body style adds practicality compared to earlier Mustang designs, offering improved cargo access while maintaining the sporty coupe silhouette that defines the Mustang identity. Under the hood sits a 302 cubic inch V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. According to the seller, both the engine and transmission are matching numbers, which is a valuable detail for buyers who prioritize originality. The 302 is widely respected for its reliability, smooth power delivery, and ease of maintenance, making it a strong choice for a classic Mustang intended for regular driving. The vehicle is also equipped with power steering and power brakes, both of which significantly improve drivability compared to the original manual setups. These upgrades help make the car more comfortable and manageable, especially in modern traffic conditions where low-speed maneuvering and consistent braking performance are important. Air conditioning is also included, which is a notable feature for a car of this era. In my opinion, factory or period-style AC is one of the most valuable comfort upgrades for classic Mustangs, especially for owners who plan to drive the car during warmer months. It transforms the car from a fair-weather weekend cruiser into something that can be enjoyed more frequently. The seller notes that the car is in solid condition overall, with only minimal rust located behind the passenger seat. While rust is always something to pay attention to on classic Mustangs, the description suggests that the issue is localized rather than widespread, which is an encouraging sign for structural integrity. What stands out about this Mustang is its focus on originality and usability rather than heavy modification. It does not appear to be a restomod or heavily customized build, but instead a fairly traditional GT-equipped Mustang that has been maintained and lightly preserved for continued use. That kind of approach often appeals to buyers who want a classic car experience without extensive restoration projects. The seller also emphasizes that the car is not open to trades and is a cash-only sale, which often indicates a straightforward transaction with a clear value expectation. At an asking price of $18,500, it sits in a relatively accessible range compared to many other classic Mustang listings, especially those with V8 power and factory-style options. Overall, I believe this 1971 Ford Mustang GT hatchback offers a solid combination of classic Mustang styling, dependable 302 V8 performance, and desirable comfort features like power steering, power brakes, and air conditioning. While it may not be a high-end collector-grade vehicle, its originality, solid condition, and usability make it an appealing option for someone looking to enjoy a vintage Mustang without taking on a major restoration project. Number 15. This 1989 Oldsmobile Cutlass. This 1989 Oldsmobile Cutlass is one of those budget-friendly used cars that sits right on the line between a basic daily driver and a light restoration project. Located in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and priced at just $800, it's being presented as an inexpensive, functional vehicle that still runs and drives well despite needing some cosmetic and comfort-related repairs. Mechanically, the seller states that the car is in running condition and drives properly, which is already a strong point considering its very low asking price. The battery is relatively new at around 9 months old, and the tires are described as being in good condition, suggesting that at least the basic road-going components have been maintained. However, this Cutlass does show its age in several areas. The interior and exterior both require attention, including door seals, window replacements, and a new headliner. These are common issues for vehicles of this era, especially when interior materials begin to deteriorate after decades of use. While not necessarily difficult repairs, they do add up in both time and cost if a full refresh is desired. One of the more notable issues is the air conditioning system, which is currently not working. The seller mentions the possibility of repairing it before sale, but as it stands, this is another item the next owner may need to address depending on their needs and expectations for comfort. In my opinion, the biggest appeal of this 1989 Oldsmobile Cutlass is its price-to-function ratio. At under $1,000, finding a car that still runs and drives is becoming increasingly uncommon in today's market. Even with cosmetic and comfort issues, it could serve as a temporary commuter vehicle, a first car, or a basic transportation solution for someone with limited budget. Of course, buyers should also be realistic about what they're getting. A car in this price range will almost always require ongoing maintenance and repairs, and it should not be expected to feel modern or refined. Instead, it offers basic mobility with the understanding that some work will likely be needed over time. Overall, this Cutlass appears to be a low-cost, functional vehicle with some age-related wear but still usable transportation. For the right buyer, it represents an affordable entry point into car ownership, with the trade-off being cosmetic flaws and minor mechanical needs rather than major drivetrain issues.